Yes. Good afternoon, students. So, today is my second session. Let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Vinuta P. Kunderi, Department of Studies and Research in English, Karnataka State Open University, Mysore. I am here to introduce Shakespeare's one of the important historical play or history play titled Research Richard II, King Richard II. This is one of the important play written by William Shakespeare, who is considered to be the father of English literature. You already know because from past many years you have been listening to the sonnets of William Shakespeare, tragic plays of William Shakespeare, comedies of William Shakespeare, and maybe as far as my information, you are reading history play of Shakespeare for the first time because you're first year MA students. Maybe out of your syllabus, you could have come across the storyline of William Shakespeare, but today you will be dealing the text in detail. You will be understanding the text in detail. So let us begin with Shakespeare, his contribution to English literature, especially in dramas, because William Shakespeare is well known for his dramas. It can be broadly divided into three. One is tragedy, which is well versed. No one can defeat William Shakespeare for his tragedies because it's classical. It's ultimate. Okay, so and the second category is comedy, and the third category is historical play. It is not Shakespeare who has divided this plays according to the stylistics. It is the critics who have read Shakespeare thoroughly, who have, for the convenience of understanding the stylistics, they have broadly divided into three. Okay, so Richard II is one of the foremost history play written by William Shakespeare. So Shakespeare, when we talk two important lines about Shakespeare, you must understand that Shakespeare wrote all the dramas for entertainment. Okay, before, during his age, Elizabethan age, entertainment, they did not had internet, they did not had any other medium for fun or entertainment. It was only reading and writing poetries were their only bread and butter. So William Shakespeare, he started earning his bread and butter by writing the dramas. And Shakespeare was equivalently interested in history plays, to know the history of England, to know the history of Germany, to know the history of his timing. So through William Shakespeare, we 21st century students or literature interested beings can see through William Shakespeare about his time, how people were there, how the culture, what was the cultural context, what is the socio-political scenario during that time. So you can see through William Shakespeare, and one such example is Richard II. Shakespeare was very much keen in reading history or history about great king, and the characters which he built upon the real life historical personalities he has come across, he has read it. Henceforth, he could write the inputs or the real life scenarios in such a realistic way. Only by understanding the socio-political economic scenario of that time or of that king regime, then only the person can understand Shakespeare has done commendably. And coming to the four factors, why, how history or historical plays help the humankind. the human society. Why we want to know about the history plays which is written by William Shakespeare? Because as I told you before, not only plays will give you the broader scenario of that age, but it also gives you the human criterias or human strata, social stratas, starting from the kings to the lowest strata people, that is the peasant. Okay, farmers and peasants, they stand in the bottom line of the society, and the queen, king, emperors, queens, they stand in the upper strata or upper line of the society. So Shakespeare has understood or tried to portray at all the levels that he has portrayed the personalities of all the people within the society. He has not left even a cobbler has been discussed, even a carpenter is being discussed in his dramas. Okay, so he has successfully portrayed the personalities. So it is not personalities, through personalities you will understand how people would interact with their own group, their own society, their own community people. So it is good that you understand such a thing. Shakespeare has tried and he has succeeded it. I don't say he has tried, he has succeeded in understanding the scenarios, understanding the personalities, understanding the emotions, emotional crux of different strata people is being really portrayed in Shakespeare dramas. Okay, people like, as I told you, people like royal court, nobility, tavern life, brothels, beggars. I told you, these are some of the characters which is created by Shakespeare, and he has successfully portrayed their personalities in different shades. It is easily, we can relate ourselves, any individual can relate his own self to the characters created by Shakespeare. We don't feel different. Maybe the generation or maybe the age which we belong might be different, but we can easily relate. As though we feel after reading Shakespeare dramas, we feel as though we have come across such characters, such personality traits characters. Okay, and coming to the brief introduction about Shakespeare's history plays or historical plays, he has written 10 history plays to his credit. What are those 10 history plays? First one is King John, Richard II, Richard III, Henry IV. There it is divided into part 1 and part 2. Henry V, Henry VI, which is divided into three parts. You can find part 1, part 2, and part 3 in Henry VI and Henry VIII. So, these are some of the 10 important historical plays written by William Shakespeare. And Richard II stands at the top because it has reached the people. Many universities have prescribed this text as their curriculum. Henceforth, people have come across this text very frequently. So, when we talk about the play, Richard II, when was it published? It was published in 1592. But the plot setting is indicated in 1398. 1398 is the year in which the play Richard II is being set, and it is set in London. The place it's set is in London, and the play set in 1398. And what is so important about Richard II? Is it the character? Is it the plot? Why Richard II should be read as part of our curriculum? Where does the story begin? The story begins from Edward III, who was the king, the then king of England. Okay, and Richard II, which is our main protagonist or hero, tragic hero. You can call it tragic hero because at the end of the drama, he becomes a tragic personality. I'll tell you how and why. What is the reason and why he became tragic hero, and what were the up and down in the life of Richard II, King Richard II, which destined him to be a tragic hero. And Edward III and King Richard II, how they are related, is the first primary question you have to understand. Because, as I told you, the story begins from Edward III. Who is this Edward, and how he is related to King Richard II? King Richard II is the grandson of Edward III. So, what is so when instead of, see, when we talk about the hierarchy of succession, it is the father, from father the son is going to inherit the succession. But whereas in the case of Richard II, it was from his grandfather he succeeded. His own father, Edward, who was Prince of Wales, did not throne the throne of England. He did not take up the throne of England. Instead, his grandson, King Richard II, who succeeded after Edward III. What sort of person is Edward III? Is he a tragic hero? Is he a good personality? That is the primary question. So, Edward III is also known as Edward of Windsor before his succession, and he ruled as a king of England, and he was also Lord of Ireland from January 1327 until his death in 1377. For a long time, for the time of 50 years, 5 decades, King Edward III ruled Ireland as well as England. During his reign, everything was proper. His subjects were happy. His parliament, his government ruled were intact. When compared to King Richard II, it was not so. King Richard II was not a good ruler, but history has a different opinion. Different traces have found out the different traces regarding Richard II. He seems to be a smartest, youngest, and a great warrior when compared to Edward III. But he has a fault. His personality, King Richard II, personality had a flaw, which you can call it as hamartia as well. Okay, according to Aristotle Poetics, he has given different terminologies to associate the personality traits or qualities of a tragic hero or drama. So, based on that, you can call it hamartia. Okay, he has a personality trait. King Richard II can easily duped or fooled by any person, because when person is being what to say praised at times, anyone will boost. Okay, anyone will flaunt. Anyone will become proud about himself. So one such personality is Richard the Second, and he is spoiled to maximum extent. He is a spendthrift. Whatever money he has, he used to spend on his friends, and his friends group or his peer groups was one such. He did not had a good, close knitted, well disciplined or good mannered people, but he was having a friends who were not good. They would make use of King Richard II for extraction of money. Okay, in the name of King Richard II, people surrounded by him or surrounding him would extract money from him. Henceforth, Richard II had to become bankrupt, and he would extract money from his subjects through all means, by paying taxes, by collecting huge amount of taxes, and whatnot. There are other means to extract money from the society. So during the regime of King Richard the Second, the treasury of his kingdom got empty. He was completely bankrupt. The kingdom was bankrupt. He did not know what to do. So all this aftermath effects is being projected in the play. Okay, he doesn't have many. What sort of king he takes decision out of convenience. He doesn't have proper right way of deciding. For example, if any person takes decision, you are being judged and you are being given any case and you are supposed to take the judgment. In that case, a judge can take his verdict once and it cannot be changed. Whereas King Richard is such a person where he would change his decisions according to convenience. Okay, that is one personality trait. And as I told you, he's a spendthrift and he wants money. Apart from that, he doesn't have any other way of understanding. He doesn't give importance for human beings. So all this affects how his life, he destroys his own life. That is picturized in the play. And coming to the characters of uh, mm, uh, Richard II, King Richard II, as I told you, I introduced to Edward III. So Edward III was a nice king when compared to good king when compared to King Richard II. And what are the other important characters apart from Edward III? Edward III, the story doesn't speak anything about Edward III, just for the convenience of you to understand how the, because it's a historical play. You should know where, how people are related, where does their line starts from. There are many other people before Edward III. There was Edward II, which is not necessary for you to understand. Which, when concerned to the text, it will take a time to deal with the family tree of Richard II. So we'll just cut short into, we'll start the story from Edward III, who was king of England, and after him it was King Richard II, who uh, took the term and he ruled the kingdom. And who was father of King Richard II? It was Edward, who was Prince of Wales. The most important, before understanding the characters, you have to understand one more factor, is that all the major characters here in the story are blood related. They are not they are not relatives in outer, but they are extended families. They are one family, but they are extended family. And this is the story of King Richard's uncles as well as cousins. These are the major characters. The first uncle of King Richard II is Duke of Gloucester. Duke, who is the first uncle after his own father, Edward, who is Prince of Wales. His first uncle is Duke of Gloucester, who is also known as Thomas of Gloucester. And his second uncle is John of Gaunt, who is also called as Duke of Lancaster. His only son is Henry Bolingbroke, who is Duke of Hereford. And his third uncle is Duke of York, Edmund of Lansley, you can either call, and his only son is Omerley. Okay, I repeat from beginning. King Richard II father is Edward, who is called as Prince of Wales. His first uncle is Duke of Gloucester, who doesn't have any children as of the play. There is no evidence of his children. He has wife, but she is addressed as Duchess of Gloucester. She doesn't have any name. And his second uncle is John of Gaunt, and his only son is Henry Bolingbroke. These two characters have important role to play. And his third uncle, Duke of York, Edmund of Langley, and his only son is Ormiller. Okay, so King Richard II has two cousins. Okay, one is Henry Bolingbroke from second uncle and Ormiller from third uncle. So, out of four brothers, they have only three sons. First and third and fourth brothers have one single sons. Okay, and only first first brother Edward has the son King Richard II, and he is ruling the kingdom now at present. So how does the story opens? The story opens with a small conflict between his cousin and his loyal servant. His cousin, as you know, is Henry Bolingbroke, and his loyal friend is named as Thomas Mowbray. Okay, Thomas Mowbray is the loyal friend of King Richard II, and his cousin Henry Bolingbroke. These two, the first act begins with these small conflict. Okay, these two people have misunderstanding. They don't like each other. They have reasons for hatred, and they always want to disgrace each other, and they want to see to it that the other person is killed. So that is the reason for their hatred, and it is not new hatred. From past many years, each and both of them are quarreling with each other. But this is the time where King Richard has entered to their conflict, and he has tried to solve the conflict between the two. And the scene starts in the court. King is sitting on the throne, and these two are quarreling in front of them. So King Richard said, "Try to solve." What was the problem? Bolingbroke had a reason. So he says that Mowbray is not a good person and he is an evil person, and he has two reasons he gives. He has two complaints. Bolingbroke has two complaints against Mowbray. What are the two complaints? One is he says that he has theft 8,000 sovereigns from the state. Okay, it was money was from the state. And the second reason he says that from past 18 years, all the evils which are happening in the country is who is the responsible for it? It is Mowbray. So these are the two complaints brought out and highlighted by Henry Bolingbroke, who was the cousin of King Richard II. So they are debating. Mowbray was not a what no, was not that sort of person as real, but Bolingbroke had that complaint against him. So one Richard, he come to a decision that they want to wage a combat. Combat is a fight for it's like a major fight. So he says that they'll go to a place named by Coventry. Okay, it's a Saint Lambert's day. On the day of Saint Lambert's, King Richard II decides that these two people, Mowbray and Bolingbroke, will fight, will go for combat, and whoever wins the combat will be treated as the truthful person. So your first the first act consists of four scenes. Entire the four scenes, this conversation happens. So there, in this scene, even Henry Bolingbroke's father, John of Gaunt, is also there, and he doesn't take the side of his son. He was a very diplomatic ruler. He did not had any. He doesn't show any. What to say? He doesn't take a stand towards his son, whether he's right or wrong. He doesn't go for either of the party. He stands diplomatic, he stands genuine, and he takes the decision. So during this time, he doesn't say. And out of curiosity, Richard asks John of Gaunt, his uncle, second uncle, why did you kept mum? And Richard Gaunt, John of Gaunt says that I am here as a judge, not as a father. So this is the great personality. John acts as a mirror to the just opposite mirror of King Richard II. So they are different personalities. So Shakespeare has brought out all these characteristic traits or personality traits, which is beautifully, weaved between the scenes, between the conversations. Okay, so here, the day comes on the day of Saint Lambert's Day. They decided that they are going on a combat. But on that day, when they were ready, they are on the platform. They gave the reasons in front of the king, and they started the combat. But meanwhile, king decided there is no need to go fight, and they so sorry, he is deciding that they'll sent out of the state, means they'll be banished from the state. So for Bolingbroke, he decided that he will be banished from the kingdom for 10 long years. And for Mowbray, Thomas Mowbray, who was the loyal servant, he will be exiled from the or banished from the state for entire his life. There is no chance for him to come back to the kingdom. So for Bolingbroke, it was 10 years. But because John of Gaunt, who is father, who in his presence, King Richard did not want to make a sorry figure in front of him. Henceforth, he decided that he reduced the period of punishment and he reduced it into 6 years. So even though John, his father, Bolingbroke's father, John, was not happy, so he said somehow he agreed because it is a decision of a king. We can't. There is no subject who can question the decision of a king. So he felt very bad, and he says that maybe my son will not return within this period, which means to say that he might be dead. He will be dead by the time his son returned back from his banishment. So he felt sorry, and now they are ready for their uh, banishment. And coming to the next episode to talk about King Richard II has a cruel plan. After this court scene, you can call the opening scene of Richard II, you can call it as a trial scene or a court scene. After which, Richard II decided that he'll go to Ireland to participate in a war. Henceforth, he wanted a huge amount. Any kingdom, for that matter, if they are going on a war, they need a huge amount of money, huge amount of human energy. To feed that human energy, they need money, because Richard, as I told you before, King Richard II is not a serious king, because which means to say that he spends all the money which he has. He doesn't have chalked out limitations while spending money. He lavishly spends not only for his own needs but his own community needs. He has friends or he has companions who make him go wrong. Okay, he doesn't have a good companion, good knitted the people around him. He do whatever he feel like doing. So now they have to go for Ireland to participate in a war, and there is no money. So Richard II has a cruel plan. What is the plan? He want to take money from John of Gaunt. Who is John of Gaunt? It is Henry Bolingbroke's father, John of Gaunt, and his second uncle. And repeating the relationships quite often, because you shouldn't have any confusion at the later stage. Okay, so why you want to take money from John of Gaunt? Because he is on his deathbed. Okay, so he plans, because his son is is punished, is sent, is exiled, and now he has the authority to take money. So he has that cruel plan, and he succeed in it. Why? Because John of Gaunt is in his deathbed, and he want to very stingily grab the property of his uncle John of Gaunt. But his plan succeeded because his uncle was aged, and he did not had a legal person near him, which is supposed to be Henry Bolingbroke. But John of Gaunt, in his deathbed, had called King Richard II to give him advice. Okay, wanted to give his best advices to his nephew, his brother's son, Edward's son, King Richard II. He says, he calls him, this scene is, you can see in Act 2. Act 2, the entire Act 2 deal with John of Gaunt and his deathbed scene, and how he put forth his wishes in front of King Richard II. So he says that to his nephew that to be good, not to be a spendthrift, not to he is not ruling the kingdom in a proper way. That was his contention. That was his problem with King Richard. He has his own personal whims and fancies, no one question. But someone is under him. Someone, if ruler, for example, if the family in a family, if the main member of the family is not on a right path, is not a good ruler, the entire family will suffer. If the elderly person are not responsible being, just like that, even in a college or even in a classroom, if the teacher is not successfully reaching the people or the students, then the entire generation of students career has been damaged. Henceforth, similar like that, the king, he is equivalent to God, subject, his own subject, see king or an emperor as a god. So what is the duty of a god? To look after his subjects with all possible manners. Okay, not this or not that. It is not like you cannot be choosy to lead a better life. The things are not picked, only this, only A's matters for me, only B matters for me. It's not like that. You have to, a life should be very, in a very successful, to lead a life of a success, everything has to be in a proper manner and proper channel. Okay, so he is telling, uncle is telling to his nephew that you have to be on a good path. So whatever he has done so far, he did not want his nephew to continue in further, because being a father figure, it is his duty to look after his son's reputation as well. So he says that you have to be a good ruler of England, and is dead. So he got the news saying that his uncle is dead, and as his cruel planning, he snatches away or takes away entire property of his uncle John of Gaunt, and with that money, he has now decided to go on a war voyage to Ireland. So he has started his journey to Ireland. Back in England, someone has to look after, in the absence of the king, rightful king, someone has to look after. Henceforth, he rests the entire responsibility of England to Duke of York. Who is Duke of York? He is the last uncle or the third uncle of King Richard II. So who is his son? It is Omer. Omerly was the son of Duke of York. He is the third uncle of King Richard II. So he was part of the empire. Henceforth, he rests entire responsibility to his uncle, and he left for his journey. So, in the absence of King Richard II, what all happened is very important. So, your next act, third act of King Richard II is very much important, because major changes happen in this act. It is not only in this play, all the Shakespearean dramas, whether it is tragedy, comedy, or historical plays or tragic comedy plays, third act is the major part. Many changes happen, many ups and downs happens, the character changes, the scenario changes, the emotion changes, the perspective changes, which will lead to the end of the what are they, the ultimatum of the the play is can be decided based on Act 3. Okay, so what all happened after uh, Richard II left for Ireland? Bolingbroke returned back to England. Why? Because he wanted to take over the property of his father, dead father, that is John of Gaunt. But what has happened to the property? Property has already taken by the king. So he doesn't know what to do. In the absence of Bolingbroke, he somehow managed to uh, emotionally win his uncle, Duke of York. Duke he just simply kneels down in front of Duke of York and he simply says that requesting uncle that do something. I have to get the property of my father because I'm the rightful inheritor of my father's property. And Bolingbroke has a point. He doesn't. It is not like he's asking for someone's property just like Richard II is not doing, he is asking for the rightful property. And now, because he is in the banishment, because he is in the punishment period, he is not supposed to enter the kingdom in whatever possible manner or for whatever reasons for that matter. But Bolingbroke took the advantage of that of the king's absence. He has entered, and now he is creating the barriers between the people inside the kingdom, inside the court of Richard II kingdom. He's creating divisions who are in interest of Bolingbroke's is just dragging, and who are in the interest of King Richard II. People are waiting for his returning, but unfortunately, England reached a news or they heard a news that Richard is dead. When he was returning back from Ireland to England, it was said that King Richard is dead. He is no more. So Bolingbroke, he doesn't have any problem now. He decides that he is the fullest powerful person apart from King Richard the Second. And not only that, he has returned to England with the supportive army in order to claim the property of his father. When a person has a supportive backup or supportive community, then no one can stop him from taking the property which he wanted to. Okay, so what is the role of Duke of York? So here, Duke of York, after listening to the decision of Henry Bolingbroke, nephew, and the other nephew, that is Richard the King, he decided to act in a neutral path. He did not want to support either king as well as Bolingbroke, who is supposed to take the property which rightfully belongs to him. So he says that till the time Richard is back, you are permitted to stay in the place where you are in. And now, Bolingbroke is not simply sitting idle in England. He, as I told you, he is dividing among the people. Okay, who are the people who takes the side of Bolingbroke? Because people of subjects of King Richard are willing to take the side of Bolingbroke because, as I told you, they think that Richard is no more. But it was a rumor, it is a false news, and they says the people who take the side of Bolingbroke are Lord Ross, Henry Percy, who was Earl of Northumberland, Harry Percy, son of Northumberland, Thomas Percy, who is brother of Henry Percy, Lord Fitzwater, Lord Willoughby, Beaumont. These are people who take the side of Bolingbroke, and the rest of the soldiers who are supposed to be the loyal servants of King Richard II, they remain the same. But Bolingbroke, who did not agree to take the side of Bolingbroke, he started sending people categorically to kill those supportive community people. For example, Bolingbroke killed two major servants, loyal servants of King Richard in the play. That is Bushy, Greek, Begot. These are some of the people who were majorly killed because, in the absence of King Richard, these people were making use of his power. Okay, if they were making use of his power and they were leading happy life, so the Bolingbroke did not what to say light all such things. Henceforth, to capture the control, to capture the power which King Richard had before his entry to the land, he started killing all the supportive people. Some of them are, as I told you, Bushy, Green, Begot, Wiltshire, Lord Salisbury, Bishop of Carlisle, Abbot of Westminster, O'Malley, who is son of his own cousin, son of Duke of York, Spencer, Blunt, Kent, Brokers, Sir Stephen Scorpy, and Sir Bonnet Cecil. So these are the people who took the side of King Richard II. So they were ardent. But Bolingbroke, wherever possible, wherever the possibility of killing them or lessening the power of King Richard II, he tried to kill them. Without mercy, without any reason, they were slaughtered to death. And now the news reached England that King Richard is alive and he is returning back to England. So this is the third portion of the story, and in the Act 4, you can see the changes. After the arrival of King Richard II, what all happened in England is the major thing to look for. Okay, so now you understand these two cousins have divided the country. The cousin number one, that is King Richard II, and Henry Bolingbroke. These, based on the emotions, based on the ideologies which they follow, the country is divided. So the citizens of England are suffering because of these two people, two powers, two energies. As you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Here, the absolute power, they are trying to take it forcefully. Henry Bolingbroke is trying to take forcefully. Henceforth, it is getting corrupted. The nation is getting corrupted. So, what all happened after the arrival of King Richard II? So, it altered. After he reached England, he was sent to Flint Castle. Okay, he was sent to Flint Castle, where Lord Salisbury informed him that soldiers who have deserted to the side of Bolingbroke are being safe and the rest is being killed. Richard II became disheartened when Salisbury said that Wiltshire, Green, Begot were murdered as the Castle. Bristol Castle was the place where these people were hiding, or because Henry Bolingbroke was simply policing that he were to kill his supporters. Henceforth, these people were hidden in Bristol Castle and they were killed. Later, Bolingbroke arrived and put forth his claims to his father's property, and obviously he has to be given. And King Richard, after he entered, he restored all his titles and estates to Bolingbroke. He simply surrendered because King Richard understood that the scenario is completely changed. Okay, the neutral party is his own uncle, Duke of York. He is not taking either of the sides. Whether he is not, he doesn't want to support either of his nephews. So only these two cousins, Henry Bolingbroke and King Richard II, they are fighting for the name and fame and the rule. Okay, so he simply settles King Richard II. He simply want to settle his life. Henceforth, he entrusted his money, his titles, everything to Henry Bolingbroke. As the result, now king doesn't have any power. People, even his uncle, informed him, or he tried to make him understand that any person cannot take the place of the real king till he is alive. But King Richard understood the scenario, and even Bolingbroke was ready to take the responsibility of the state. Henceforth, according to their interests, they took charge of the action and the situation as well. So then the other important character is the wife of King Richard II, that is Queen Isabella. She has been seen in only four scenes, okay, four situations, only in four situations. Queen Elizabeth is Isabella is visible. Apart from that, she is nowhere portrayed. Shakespeare does this with all the women characters in his plays. They don't have major plays, but the impact of the female characters are very much at large. Okay, the impact of the female characters is very much large, but they don't have much role to play. Queen Isabella is very afraid of the life of her husband, that is King Richard II. She doesn't know what to do because he is ready to give surrender himself to his cousin Henry Bolingbroke. And while a person, if he surrenders himself to the maximum extent, you understand what will be the plight of that person. It simply happened with King Richard II. When he surrendered himself, he's not only surrendering his title or his money which he has, but he also gave a written document saying that mistakes he has done what all mistakes he has done entire his lifetime. He gave a written record proof to Henry Bolingbroke, who is announced as a king. He is no more as a subject of his own cousin, Richard II, but now Richard II, he has dethroned himself and he has crowned his cousin as the King of England, and he is being named as Henry IV. He is not called as Henry Bolingbroke, he is named as Henry IV, and now he is the King of England. So, being a king, he is definitely is going to act upon his own cousin, that is Richard II. So, what he did, by the time to add insult to the injury, just like to add insult to the injury, when Richard surrendered himself to to uh, the king Henry, he takes the action. What he does, he instructs the his subordinates to arrest King Richard II. Even as a Queen Isabella, who was feeling sad, she requests the King Henry to allow her to go with Richard II, but she was not permitted. She could meet only once before he was taken to the prison, and that was the end of their meeting. She is being seen in many other scenes. No, there is no time to discuss on that. Okay, so now Richard II is arrested and he is taken to prison. He is taken to cellar, a single prison where no people will be in and around. He is taken to Pomfret Castle. Instead, he is not taken to Tower of Silence, which is a separate cell. So she is taken to cell. There was also a plan of assassinating Bolingbroke. Henry IV was decided to be killed, okay, to be assassinated by Bishop of Callisley. He decided that he has to be. There is a lot of difference between murder and assassination. Murder is for personal interest. Assassination is killing a person for political cause, political upheaval, political reasons. So he decides that Bolingbroke has to be assassinated, but because Ormiller, who is the cousin of Henry, he stops and he goes to know that this is not happening, and that's how Bolingbroke even punished Bishop of callously, and he was killed after he gets to know that he'll be the murderer. He is the reason behind his own killing, so he just want to avoid it. So at the last act, there is an important scene where Richard II was decided to be killed. Okay, he doesn't want some other person to be equivalent, because people, when Richard submit himself under the power of England, that is Henry IV, he no one tolerates it. When maybe when we read the mind of Henry IV, Henry Bolingbroke, he might not he was not easy with the platform he has got, so he wanted to kill his cousin. Okay, it was not only his own interest, there were other people behind him, that is Sir Piers Exton, who wants to kill, and he was the person who killed Richard II at the end. Okay, and Richard II had been kept as a prisoner at Pomfret Castle while he was realizing his mistake and felt extremely sorry for many of his acts they in charge of. So it was a time for himself. Staying in a prison, arresting our own self, is arresting our soul and body. So Richard II was confessing his mistakes to the Lord, which is who is absent in the prison. So he is realizing his mistake, what he has done for the nation, for his own self, and now return to his old master Henry Bolingbroke. On yawning, this King Richard II cursed the horse for his insincerity and then entered the prison, who gave dinner to Richard II. So Richard II, still he has that natural instinct that he was a former king. So what he does, when someone disrespects him, he tries to curse him. He cursed even a horse. Okay, so and he entered the prison, and there, people were servants were there at his service to provide him the dinner. So King Richard II, being a king, he did not want to be killed or murdered from others' hand. Okay, so he did not want to kill by some others. So he instructed the servant to eat the dinner before he eats it. So he instructs the servant, but the servant rejects it. He says that I am not ready. So henceforth, King Richard, he got furious and he started beating the servants. Meanwhile, there entered Sir Pierre Exton. Okay, Sir Pierre Exton. SIRPIERSEXTON. He is the person out of during this dispute he killed King Richard II and is no more. So King Richard II, he died in the prison while this conflict was happening between the servant and King Richard II. Finally, at Windsor Castle, each soldiers of Henry Brooklyn came and reported Bolingbroke that they murdered all the loyal soldiers of King Richard II. And now even Sir Piers Exton entered and proudly says that I have killed the greatest enemy of the nation, and as of themselves, that is greatest enemy is King Richard II, and he says that I have killed him. Bolingbroke accepted that yes, Richard II has deserved that punishment, but inwardly he did not like the way King Richard II was killed. He was not supposed to be killed as a bad man. He is a king. He is a former king, and he is the cousin. Cousin is the elder brother, like. Okay, even though he's a cousin, he's the elder brother who this emotions connected. Bolingbroke was emotionally soft when compared to King Richard the second. So he agrees. He confesses that this is not the right way of killing. Richard II, and he feels sorry about the actions which happened during his reign because history remembers it. Whatever the mistakes done by a king, even the smallest of smallest persons, characters, is remembered in history. Right? History records each and everything. Henceforth, that might be also one of the major reasons, and majorly, Holling Bolingbroke did not like the action done by Sir Pierre Exton. So he says that Bolingbroke, the moment he hears the news, he kept mum. He did not know what to say. He did not speak for few minutes, and lastly, he acknowledges that he declares that he would go on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem in order to purify his soul. Even though some other person, Sir Pierre Exton, is the person who killed King Richard II, but Henry Bolingbroke, he realized that it is the mistake of his part. Okay, any person who is related to him, their mistake is also the mistake of the higher authority. So here Bolingbroke is very humbly accepting the mistake of his people, and he decides that he'll be going on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a holy place, as you know. So, in order to purify his soul, he decides to go on a pilgrimage. So, this is the entire story of King Richard II, the person who was very grateful about his power, landed in a way where there was no one uh, to do his ceremony. He was killed disrespectfully, just like Julius Caesar in the middle of the court. He was shot under his ribs. He was, what to say, he was pierced, under his knife was pierced under the ribs. So that's how the greatest of greatest people are killed. So Shakespeare is trying to say that nothing is permanent, whether it is relationships or whether it is positions. Destiny or fate doesn't have a definite ending. What I mean to say is, no noble person has attained a good death, which means to say they have a proper cremation, funeral, everything, or if we don't have, make sure that they have reached heaven, or any cruelest of person, baddest of person will reach hell. It is not so. Every action has a reaction, and every reaction has a another reaction to it. So King Richard, who is supposed to be, who is supposed, people believe that he is the person who has killed his first uncle, Duke of Gloucester. So this is the end of his life as well. So whatever the actions he did, Richard II did during his reign, that was the result. He also was killed in the same way in his lifetime. So King Richard II is a historical play. Shakespeare is, through this play, is trying to give you a short bird view about the history which people fail to see during their time. But Shakespeare has understood the crux because he is very much interested, as I told you in the introduction, he is very much interested in reading history. Okay, he has spoken about Julius Caesar, Antonio Cleopatra, major works. He has dealt with historical characters, which is very much commendable. People do not understand many things, our history, but these persons like Shakespeare has dealt um, successfully. So the important points here you need to look through is your opening scene. Okay, Act 3 is important. Henry Bolingbroke character is important. So these are some of the important aspects. you need to look through. And I think I have successfully make you to understand the uh, play, William Shakespeare play Richard II. And thank you so much.